clubhouse right down the block. Naturally, I took a piss in their gas tanks just to break the ice. You love that, right? Me and the troop are planning a little welcome to the neighborhood party. I put in an order for the essentials. You know, wings, whippets, and some other shit. It's all sitting on a flatbed trailer down to Jetsam Terminal. Steal a truck, hitch it up to the trailer, and bring the whole delivery back to the freak shop. You keep me on the line, friendo.
Legislation taken to the streets, the courts,
Hey, in case you're wondering, I saved enough money to pay you. If there's anything I still got left in the Swiss cheese brain of mine, it's priorities.
Not in Chicago. Running around, bragging about a fucking nice while supporting illegal immigrants, gang, raping, outlaws, black people, right? Again, this guy's so black, right? Bragging about all this money, billions of taxpayers.
You there yet? Trailer should be all ready for you. I didn't think a truck was a necessary expense because of the priorities, right?
This guy, all three, okay, who was a very handsome Brandon Johnson. He is going to expose Mayor Johnson in this podcast to talk about how this guy is false, right? And the only reason for this whole pro-life thing is because this is in the tank and because of that. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Man, walking the heart. And the first thing he do is found off $51 million for the fight.
Alright, you got the truck? Once you got it hitched, bring it back on to the freak shop and let's get this thing started.
Y'all want to go back? Let's go back to when he was building Michael Stick Camp and the black community has done the Pritzker tried to stop him from doing. If you want to go back to those same schools that you want to talk about that were going to shut down when he blew up the school system, they're the same schools we use for Microsoft. Stop playing the shit. What they for black people since he's been
Yeah, man.
only going to talk about shit when but you put out this is and you gotta go from here to the down it all. And on top of that, let's talk about it. Majority of that money went to an outside company in Florida to manage the shelter, to do transportation, to do child care. There are no people out there providing that child kids. There's no transportation provided and the transport items. That's a billion in 18 months. When have you seen that type of stuff in the black people? So when you want to talk about let's talk about it.
Come here now, in your suffering! You clip, motherfucking prick!
Is that shooting? What the fuck? Don't tell me it's the fucking bus again! Don't you dare destroy our shit, you freaking two-wheel turd pipes! If I don't get those whippets, I swear I won't go off the goddamn chain! I swear to God, if I hear that truck explode, I will lose every ounce of my shit! Fucking fuck! They needed that shit! Okay, now I'm really pissed! If these assholes want a war, we'll give it to them! Go to the clubhouse, it's right by the casino. We're gonna torch their plans like they torch ours.
They're just not smart enough, educated enough, or educate themselves enough to actually learn how stuff works. And if you learn how stuff works, you can say that, hey, my problem is now we come out, we'll hang with Trump. Something got nothing to do with the rocket practice in Scotland, right? It's the Democrats, they're supporting. And you realize this has to college. You need to vote for it, right? Vote them out of office. Stop voting. Lose them out of office. Everybody probably did that. Very Democrat, people county tax office, full of Democrat, all of that. And the people have to understand this. What is it? Well, that's the people the same thing. And if you're talking about then people about, well, yeah, I'm not just drive out. People who actually do pay the taxes, right? Who pay a lot of taxes with the money in there for it. And don't tax in a public land.
Once you get to the clubhouse, start sniffing around. I want to know what they're up to. Take a picture of whatever it is. Plans, files, crayon doodles, fucking macaroni art, I don't care. Just send it to me.
People, man, gotta understand how stuff works. To arm yourself with financial literacy. One thing for individuals to understand. Once you understand financial literacy, okay? The world of stuff. You understand how stuff works. Because money, right, is essentially vital for almost everything, right? With politics and culture, right? That's what you gotta understand. When you understand that, you understand how to vote, you vote. And important with what is going to happen. Financial prosperity, but that is the side, okay? And that's how you vote. That's the time you get to vote. It's good. And distributing resources. So, the good thing is, it's like it's a problem for the chief, a lack of sort of perspective.
Get a move on, piece of shit!
Looks like a ghost coming out of here. So let's look at this. The city is set to close on a lock in November 2021. The builder pulled the permits here 3 months later, and 3 years later, this is all for. It shows two contractors.
These guys are so
blocking
boring.
builders.
Lab rat and me will do a 4D analysis of it. We'll find something we can use.
There's one,
Hey, you see anything else we can sell to cover our losses? Grab it and bring it back home.
this is 2018. It's
Lost. Fucking roaches. Stop them.
permit was issued December of 2019.
I'm gonna kill you and then
See
go
the
play.
contractors are. Yeah, listed Blackman Custom Builders, the Secret Homes and Development Group. And this house is still unfinished today. We first got out here to Lincoln County back in March when I got a tip that these property owners were blaming banks for letting construction loans extend years in some cases, and these homes were never finished. But the more we dug into what happened here in Lincoln County, the more we uncovered this wasn't just a banking problem. Something else much deeper was going on here.
You ain't welcome around here, chump.
We're heading to my property on Furnace Road Extension. When I first was looking at buying this property, these homes right here starting here, just what one and this big one were just sitting half built, with no windows. They've since been completed because another builder has come in and completed them, I think in the last month or so. But then you can see there's 2 unfinished homes here that have been sitting for years.
Last summer, Lisa LaBelle thought she found the perfect piece of Lincoln County.
Okay, so this is my house. Welcome to my home.
LaBelle bought this lot in unfinished foundation from the Lion Real Estate Group. Lion's listing agent was Lincoln County Realtor Joy Cotto.
I'm typing 1816. This is Joy Cotto. Was the listing agent. This is Mario White, and she was the listing agent for this property.
The realtor's husband, Mario Cotto, is the state that holds the development group, was supposed to deal LaBelle off the phone. LaBelle said she wired Mario $150,000 to buy the land and a deposit of the bills. Then weeks went by. LaBelle says Mario Cotto stopped communicating.
Nothing had been done. I kept driving to the last weekend. Nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. I'm finding this strange. I'm driving out there and I'm never seeing any type of work being done on any of the houses. And that was a red flag. I see all these half-built houses. Why do I
I
never
hear
see
you
crazy?
pulling up out there. Way to go, fresh meatus.
I started pulling all of the lots in that whole subdivision. And as I'm pulling it, doing address after address, I'm seeing that the date that the House is. No, it's not a question of not innocent. They don't know.
Pull your mask up.
Clearly didn't know. Conscious responsibility.
Pull it up. He then got a virtual telephonic plea deal for a misdemeanor. Right? And just to ask yourself, that's interesting because Ray Epps was a former member of the Oath Keepers. Weird.
They never forget the January 6th insurrection, which is why I'm back here today, 5 years later.
The White House now crushing the January 6th hoax, posting this on the 5th anniversary, saying we got a new website for you that blames the appropriate people, not President Trump. They tried to create an entire narrative to destroy him so that he could never run again after they stole the election. And then they wanted to use this as a cudgel to impeach him to prevent him legally from running again. So political destruction, legal destruction, of course, he has beaten both of them back. President again, so that didn't work out for him. But now Trump said this today. Thousands of Americans paid the price for failures they didn't create. President Trump delivered pardons. Pelosi admitted responsibility and the media lied. Now we've got the real story that is queued up. And we're learning a lot. We now got the J6 pipe bomb. Been arrested. And we're asking ourselves, we're asking ourselves whether or not this evidence corroborates other evidence. For example, why was the CIA there with dog sniffing teams to sniff out bombs if they were just not expecting any pipe bombs? Or did they plan to put pipe bombs and have dogs ready to go find that there were going to be an explosion? It was very convenient for them because they wanted this to happen. John Brennan, the rest of them who were still connected with the CIA, were engineering.
Hey, so I know you've been there already, but Pooh just called and said I can come through and get a tour of Dre's studio as a thank you for what we did for him. Lamar crazy ass her, so you know that fool gonna be here too. But it's gonna be cool. We'll do it whenever it's good for you. Man, I'm excited for this. Look, bring a friend if you like. This one gonna hit different, alright? Peace, homie.
We were very happy about that, commuted sentences to others, and ordered the immediate release because they were under attack from the Democratic Party. Now, since January 6, 2021, Nancy Pelosi spent over 3 years and nearly $20 million in taxpayer funds on the partisan select committee. And that is just the tip of the iceberg, man. Think about all the media. Remember Fannie Willis was like, Fannie Willis alone, one case, which was a part of the fallout of January 6th, was almost $500 billion. I think she accounted for like $600 million or something. Our earned media from latching onto this stolen election, insurrection, Trump's going to steal the country. All of it used as political weaponry against him for the entirety of the campaign. Now, since day 6, and that's $20 million, it's like the damage was in the media. The media then took all the clips and beat us over the head for years with it. In taxpayer funds for the partisan committee, she had a scripted TV spectacle, fabricated an insurrection narrative, and pinned all the blame on Trump, and then prosecuted his top deputies. Now, video and audio recordings, including unaired HBO footage from her daughter, show Nancy Pelosi repeatedly acknowledged responsibility for the catastrophic security failures, even
Alright, fresh meat up. Start simple. Head over to the docks and pick up a delivery. I'll fill you in on the way.
Trump's offer to send the troops there. She ignored all of those things. That's not just the president saying it. Stephen Sturridge wrote about it with the former Capitol Hill chief. Now, the Democrats massively they did this, and the Republicans were such pathetic cowards. A couple of Republicans stood by Trump like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but others were just like,
So, the freak shop's open and running.
Democrats, after January 6th, they branded peaceful, patriotic protesters as insurrectionists and framed the event as a violent coup attempt to overthrow the government orchestrated by Trump. No evidence of armed rebellion, no intent to overthrow the government. In fact, it was the Democrats. They're the ones who staged the real insurrection. They certified a fraud-ridden election. They used COVID to literally change the election rules. Fannie Willis in Fulton County had a water main break at midnight in Fulton County, and the stop county the road picked it up later. And weaponized federal agencies. They hunted down dissenters. We had Anthony Blinken, Joe Biden's people, colluding with the CIA and the FBI, and Michael Morell, former CIA director, including talking points for Joe Biden. So the Hunter Biden laptop with Russian collusion, Russian disinformation. The CIA was colluding with the Biden to rig the election. Mike Morrell talked about this in testimony before. Now, it was the Democrats who did this. They also covered up the Hunter Biden laptop. They had the FBI engineering meetings with Facebook and the social media companies, essentially running court cases saying, oh, if this happened, there's a Russian disinformation. Then it did happen. Twitter censored, Facebook censored, Google censored it. Anyone talking about it, they were disinfo and disinfo. They Russian hacks.
You there yet? Joe should be all ready for you. I didn't think a truck was a necessary expense because of the priorities, right?
He was responsible for this. Now, this gaslighting area allowed them to persecute innocent Americans, silence their opposition, and to distract from their own role undermining democracy. And the White House posted this, whitehouse.gov/J6 today. Watch this one from Nancy Pelosi. I take responsibility.
All right, you got the truck? Once you got it hitched, bring it back onto the freak shop and let's get this thing started.
Did you reject them?
They don't know.
Put it in that step. Pull it up. All right, so that's her. Trump can't send the National Guard into your congressional realm. They would say he's taking over the country. Can you imagine if Trump said, all right, we're deploying 10,000 troops to descend upon Congress? They would melt down. In fact, they were already doing that pre-election. They were already saying, no National Guard. Where Muriel Bowser and Strongman Wilson, who was Secretary Christopher Miller, said, you don't need to go. Always read the letters and how come? Because they were concerned that Trump was going to take over the government. Then, once they're left completely flat-footed, or rather, not to happen, then she's throwing the pounding of the table right at Pelosi. Now she's banging the drum. Okay, because she has to be upset about something because she completely failed. So they all just like screaming about things, which is what their strategy is. So they then recall all of the various components of what went down on their day. Remember, Trump invited Americans, and that was before January 6th. They had kind of before January 6th, President Trump invited America to come and join him in objecting to what a rigged and stolen election. Then Trump delivered a powerful speech. Up on that podium, he said, we're going to go down to the Capitol. We're going to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard, stressing the need, we've got to fight for free and fair elections. Then the Patriots marched down to the Capitol. That happened at about 1 to 1:30 p.m. Then what happened next is Capitol Police are firing tear gas, flashbangs, rubber munitions into the crowds of the peaceful protesters. People like Shawnee Kirkhoff, the former Capitol Hill police officer who's now over at the CIA as a security guard, she was up there on the balcony, blasting fools in the head, in the mouth. She fractured in people's faces, and video evidence shows this happening all over the place. Cops removing barricades, waving attendees inside of buildings, by the way, actually at the same
Don't tell me it's the fucking monster again.
Peaceful demonstrations in the chaos. We've got a couple of clips of now, first, it was the president saying he's going to patriotically, and they flipped out the
Folks, if I don't get those weapons, I swear I'm gonna walk off the goddamn Jeep.
that they use completely disinformation to billions of dollars. They use this message to be heard.
I swear to God, if I hear that truck explode, I will lose every ounce of my shit.
Yeah, they cut that out because they're sliding. Selectively edited to generics. Now, we also saw this one, this is one of my favorite clips that I think deserves a lot more attention than it's ever gotten from people. But this is from from many times before, but this is the scene, right? You see this one, talk about this one. This first, they were losing a whole break, that's the other guy, right? And you see, they start marching in, turn around, here, let me hold the door open for you. Let me get that for you. All right, like this way, come on in. So then they started piling in, right? And now, these people are all being fighting in every person, like, look at this way. Wow, look at that with her cell phone. She's probably going to try to, I guess, steal the Constitution like over a state with the lost president or whatever. And all of them are just fighting one after another. Boom, insurrection, all criminal trespass, all parading around the Capitol. I don't know why Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney and Ben Thompson and Aaron Ginther and the rest of them didn't answer those questions for us. Who gave that order? Let everybody else. Why was that order given? Yeah, maybe if they would have just stood there, they would have just stripped it. You know, all of this documents right to the Capitol. It's trapped and something shows federal court have an entire life destroyed because he's top level one. So that's what we're going to go with. We also saw that our friend Will Pope, those framing the very no undercover inside of the crowd of the Big Six are wacko conspiracy theories. Okay, they're out of their mind. He posted back in 2022. Officers from Osceola, Gilford, chose him repeatedly booking people up the steps into the Capitol. Detectives, Meatball, Calais,
Once you get to the clubhouse, start sniffing around. I want to know what they're up to. Take a picture of whatever it is. Plans, files, crayon doodles, fucking macaroni art, I don't care. Send it to me.
From the slow sources and methods. Okay, yeah, we know. Because you guys were there, cheering them into the Capitol. We saw Ray Epps here many times over. Into the Capitol the night before, goading people. Then the day of, we're repeatedly telling people, we're going inside, turn left. Don't listen to those people, listen to the way to go. Right, directing people. He then got a directional electronic deal for a mystery.
You're going
And
straight
just
to
to ask
hell.
himself, that's interesting because Ray Epps was a former member of the Housekeepers. Weird. So this was another time, another undercover was there, another undercover was right there, and Will both found them curious, marching into the Capitol. We get some information from the FBI today about the total number of federal agents that were there. Capitol Police, Jeffrey, others, and whatever other category you can revoke related to that, because because of the Proud Boy trial, third from the defense, they identified him. That was good proximity of Justice Mountain. They couldn't introduce that as evidence because the judge said, no, they're not from the FBI, they're from Homeland Security. So here's more from Will Polk, and he's got a bunch of posts up today, filed a bunch of other officer, there were prosecutors in the crowd, all of it was archived, he's got basically no answers about any of it, and it's disgusting what they did. It was a Fedsurrection, they were everywhere. And now we have seen, and reminding ourselves, that we have the pipe bomb, allegedly. He's now been wrapped up. We've got Ryan Cole Jr. charged with dropping 2 pipe bombs, one at the RNC, one at the DNC. And Judicial Watch, if we recall, says that the CIA happened to be there. Very interesting. They posted this one about 2 years ago, March 13, 2024. But you may have missed it with all the news. Judicial Watch said that they got 88 pages of info from ATF and records from a FOIA request that show that the
These guys are so
CIA
boring.
deployed
Lab rat and me will do a 4D analysis of it. We'll find something we can use.
Allegation was that
And hey, if you see anything else we can sell to cover our losses, grab it and bring it back home.
Watch forced the release of these records through a lawsuit and got them disclosed over from ATF. And in it, there's a series of text messages under the heading called January 7th Intel Chain, in which 2 separate references to participation by the CIA are made. One states two. Theoretically drop the bombs off, and then they come as the cops, right? So they're on the station. So then they can say, oh, you're going to find this person who dropped the bombs off, but we're going to figure out, cover up any problems that might identify that. We've seen that in the TV series, like when the coroner comes to analyze the crime scene is actually the murder in there. Coroner goes, oh, this guy's dead. He says, wow, there's a long thing here. Oh, no, actually, that guy's dead. So you can make a determination on what the outcome is. So CIA comes, oh, yeah, definitely, we didn't plant these things. They do whatever the hell they want with the evidence. The CIA, what the hell do they care? They were rigging the election anyways, by the way, with Mike Burrell, ex-CIA director, in testimony to Congress said, we wanted Biden to win. Literally admitted that. The brazeness was shocking. We went through the whole thing here. And then communicated to Congress that they helped them. So why would the CIA also support a cover-up of the pipelines? Makes total sense to me. Now, group texts contain a 4 p.m. hour message by persons whose names are redacted about 2 explosive devices. Train traffic is stopped. It appears that the power plant is unfounded. Upper West Terrace of the Capitol breached by protesters. Capitol Police is sending out a mutual aid request. Protesters are cutting parts at the bottom of scaffolding and moving through that. 2 explosive devices at the DNC, 1 at RNC, 1 at DNC. Then the Intel chain also reports Ashley Babbitt, shots fired, house floor, 1 civilian down. Lieutenant Bird shot and killed her, no warning. Gunshot victim has been extracted. Shooting was officer involved. Then a separate series of texts. And in the 2 p.m. hour, one of the texts says West Terrace has been breached. The West Terrace has been breached. This is what we call a motive conjugation. You can say somebody went home or somebody fled the scene. You can say that Maduro was arrested or Maduro was kidnapped. Here they're saying the West Terrace has been breached. As we just played, this was the Upper West Terrace. The one that they're talking about that was breached. That's like a breach deal where these people were invited into the Capitol. They walked into the building, breached. They breached the building. So this is exactly how they thought that. Then someone says Capitol PD shot someone dead on the house floor. People stuck inside. Someone says, Christ, what was the final in the devices? Real or not? Question. Were those pipe bombs real or not? clearing Capitol now with bomb text. Lots of damage. Damn, that's scary. So sad. Thanks for keeping me in the loop, brother. I was able to go to my team and the director before they heard it from outside sources. Now, the intel chain also reports that members of Congress are being evacuated before the mayor, 2 miles south of the Capitol. All of their locations and they continue their work. In your text messages that the official watch dug up, your redacted sources say command post is in Jersey, in D Street. 3 additional recipients are added to the text group. Someone says just made contact with the FBI. They're reporting 3 possible devices for a total of 5. A response follows. Give the location of the other devices. Someone says not yet. FBI is going to pass it on. I believe one is located at the gate to the power plant. The next states LEOs are being attacked on the west side of the Capitol pieces of the restraining fence. Some officers injured. Now, these striking records from the CIA, said Tom Bailey, show that CIA resources are deployed to this Day 6 event. The same CIA that was covering up for the Hunter Biden laptop. The same CIA that was racing through intelligence through the CIA approval board. They have this new report that was Russian disinfo. The laptop was Russian disinfo. They needed to deliver that to the Biden campaign. So they raced out this report.
I hear you pulling up out there. Way to go, Fresh Meatus.
Race it to the CIA. They approve it, put their stamp on it. Mike Morrell signs it. He's still a contractor with the CIA. And apparently, they were using CIA facilities to type up the report. So the CIA was involved in the election, and they're involved in the pipe bombs. How convenient. So then, Judicial Watch sued. They wanted to get stuff from the Ashley Babbitt case, and there were more emails, and there was a ton of warnings about this. Then the prosecution decided they were not going to charge Lieutenant Byrd, who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt, and so the case goes on and on and on. But we've also seen that we have reaction to what the Democrats were doing today. Democrats in Congress, like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of these boo-boos, they're waving their fist in the air, trying to turn this into something. Kind of a lot of their Epstein energy and momentum all fizzled out when we realized that they're caught up in the files everywhere. Like, oh crap, that sucks. So then they have to go back to January 6th. Like, they got nothing else to talk about. Their alternative is to defend Maduro. So they have to do these little tricks. It's like a circus. So Nancy Pelosi came out. And here is what she said the Select Committee was responding to. Here's Nancy, crazy Nancy today. I don't know if she's drunk or not. Let's listen.
Saw on TV that he was claiming that we did not ask for the National Guard. For over 3 hours, we begged him to send the National Guard.
Okay, probably drunk, a little bit sounding, like intoxication there. But Select Subcommittee said, no, it's not true at all. As Speaker, Pelosi controlled House operations and security on the House side of the Capitol. If she wanted the National Guard there, they would have been there, by the way. And so the Select Committee was responding to a lot of this, and here was another one. It says, is the Capitol Police Board in close contact with the Speaker of the House? Yeah, Gemini answered this. Said, yeah, the Capitol Police Board is in close contact with the Speaker of the House. How does the chain of command work? There's a House Sergeant at Arms who reports to the Speaker. Then the police interface with them. A key member of the board who directs and directly interacts with the Speaker is the Sergeant at Arms. Then the Capitol Hill Police reports to the board for oversight. Now, while the House and Senate Sergeant at Arms and the architect of the Capitol, they oversee the police, the Speaker's influence is felt via the Sergeant at Arms. And the real way the National Guard went down is exactly like this. The National Guard on 12/31, this was 2020, Mayor Bowser requested the National Guard. She wants some traffic management at this time. So then Trump agrees with Chris Miller. He's the acting Secretary of the Army at the time, to activate the National Guard to support law enforcement. Then Capitol Hill Chief of Police Stephen Son, back on 1/3, asked the Senate Sergeant at Arms and the House Sergeant at Arms, the Capitol Police Board, for the National Guard to deny. The Chief of Police of the Capitol Police says, can you have them? They say no, you can't. Why? He's up. They said Trump is going to take over the country if the National Guard is deployed. And Stephen Son wrote a whole book about it. Great. Now, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows offers Mayor Bowser 10,000 National Guard, but later sends a letter to the DOD saying, I don't want the National Guard. He read Mayor Bowser's letter. We don't need your resources. We got it figured out. Then, on 1/5, Trump again calls Secretary Miller, offers another 10,000 troops, denied repeatedly because they wanted it to happen. And they turn around and blame Trump for the whole thing, which is part of their entire operation. So, we got Shorty Niels, he says, I'm on the new Day 6 Select Committee. He's a congressman. He said, as a member of this committee, I am committed to following the facts to deliver the truth to the American people. Nancy Pelosi, Debbie Thompson, Liz Cheney, and Adam Kinzinger, along with every other member of the partisan January 6th Select Committee, which was illegally constituted, by the way. It was passed in H.R. 503 under a House resolution. It said it needed to have, I believe it was 13 total members, if the numbers are right, 8 Democrats and 5 Republicans. They didn't do that. They stated, the legislature legislation says 14. They said, no, you had to have a minority body, right? A Republican body, like any other congressional committee that you can have alternate sides presenting opposite sides of the cases, like a prosecution and a defense. In this case, the Republicans could have been the defenders if they had a minority party. It's all in the bill, all in the resolution. We read it. Pelosi didn't care. She didn't want Kevin McCarthy's picks, so she said, I'm just going to hold this illegally constituted committee anyways. And she appointed Kinzinger and Cheney to be the Republicans and called it bipartisan. It was the biggest scam. I mean, we got the whole thing basically thieved away from us, and the media didn't even bat an eye. And the courts looked the other way too, because they said separation of powers. It was a scam through and through. Illegal. Now, their select committee wasn't about transparency or the truth. It was a political theater. My colleagues and I are focused on